A patient walks into a hospital in Shanghai, checks in, gets scanned, and receives a diagnosis and a treatment recommendation before a single human doctor has even opened their file, because the first read was already handled by an artificial intelligence system sitting inside the hospital's own workstation. That is real. It exists. It's already running inside hundreds of hospitals across China right now, and the version sitting at the very top of this list has just been given a name and a formal international definition that didn't exist a year ago. Before this list is over, you're going to see a system that can process patient cases in days that would take a human doctor years, a fully virtual hospital staffed entirely by AI physicians, and the literal first fully integrated AI hospital to ever open its doors anywhere on the planet. Every claim in this video comes from peer-reviewed research, hospital-verified deployment data, and government policy documents. Cross-checking accuracy numbers and hospital counts that keep shifting month to month took real effort. So if that's useful to you, hitting like and subscribe genuinely helps this channel keep doing that kind of digging properly. By the time we reach the top of this list, you'll understand why some doctors outside China are starting to treat this less like a curiosity and more like a preview of where their own hospitals are eventually headed. Let's start with the version of this technology already sitting quietly on doctors' desks. Number 6 on our list is the deployment of DeepSeek, the Chinese AI model, directly into physician workstations at hospitals, including Shanghai's 6th People's Hospital Jinshan branch, and it earns the bottom spot here because it's the most modest entry on this list, but also the one most doctors in China are already interacting with on an ordinary workday. Here's the backstory. DeepSeek made global headlines as a general-purpose AI model, but Chinese hospitals moved quickly to adapt it specifically for clinical use, building localized deployments that integrate the model directly with hospital-specific medical knowledge, rather than leaving it to answer questions from general internet training data alone. Here's the mechanism that makes this genuinely useful, rather than just a chatbot bolted onto a hospital computer. Shanghai's 4th People's Hospital, for example, built a localized version of DeepSeek connected to a medical knowledge base covering more than 30,000 typical clinical cases, along with regional treatment guidelines specific to the hospitals using it, meaning the system isn't guessing from generic training data, it's actively cross-referencing real, regionally relevant medical precedent every time a doctor asks it a question. Here's what makes this genuinely different from a simple lookup tool. At the Jinshan branch specifically, DeepSeek has been fully integrated directly into physician workstations, offering real-time assistance for disease diagnosis, and according to the hospital's own reporting, actively reducing the risk of misdiagnosis in complex cases where symptoms overlap across multiple possible conditions. Think about what that actually means for a doctor in the middle of a busy shift. Instead of stepping away to consult a reference book or wait for a specialist's availability, a doctor gets a second AI-generated opinion instantly, cross-checked against thousands of documented prior cases, without leaving the patient's room. But a workstation tool that assists a human doctor's own judgment is still, fundamentally, a support system sitting behind a human decision maker. The next entry on this list handed an entire diagnostic specialty over to AI almost completely. Number 5 is Ruigi pathology, a pathology AI model developed by Ruigi Hospital in collaboration with Huawei. And it earns this spot because it doesn't just assist with one diagnosis at a time. It processes an entire hospital's pathology workload at an industrial scale that would be physically impossible for a human team working alone. Here's the backstory. Pathology, the medical specialty responsible for examining tissue and cell samples under a microscope to detect cancer and other diseases, has historically been one of the most bottlenecked specialties in hospitals worldwide. Because trained pathologists are in short supply, and every single slide requires careful, time-consuming visual review. Here's the mechanism behind how Ruigi pathology solves that bottleneck. The system automates pathological slide analysis using computer vision trained specifically on the visual patterns pathologists look for when identifying cancerous or abnormal tissue. And Ruigi Hospital has confirmed the system now processes 3,000 pathology slides every single day. Think about what 3,000 slides a day actually represents. That's a volume of diagnostic review that would require an entire team of pathologists working continuously, now being handled by a single AI system running around the clock without fatigue, without needing coffee breaks, and without the reading errors that creep in during hour 8 of a human pathologist's shift. Here's what makes this genuinely different from the workstation tool we just covered. This isn't answering a doctor's question on demand, it's actively performing the first-pass diagnostic review itself, with human pathologists stepping in specifically to verify and finalize cases the system flags, inverting the traditional workflow so the AI does the first read and the human does the confirmation, rather than the other way around. Here's the officially confirmed detail that shows where this is heading next. The hospital has stated that with further multimodal integration, meaning the system learning to combine image analysis with other types of patient data simultaneously, Ruigi pathology is expected to expand into covering considerably more complex diagnostic scenarios than straightforward slide review alone. But even a system processing 3,000 slides a day is still working inside one narrow medical specialty. The next entry on this list didn't specialize in one department. It tried to build an entire hospital's worth of doctors from scratch, and none of them were human. Number 4 is Agent Hospital, developed by researchers at Tsinghua University's Institute for AI Industry Research. And it earns this position because it's the first project on this list that didn't just assist doctors or automate one department. It built an entire simulated hospital staffed by AI physicians and ran real diagnostic cycles through it at a speed no human medical system could ever match. Here's the backstory. The project, described by its own researchers as the first of its kind globally, was built as what they call a self-evolving virtual healthcare setting, simulating the complete real-world cycle of hospital treatment from the moment a patient's disease first appears all the way through diagnosis, treatment, and follow-up care. Here's the mechanism behind how it actually works. The platform features 42 distinct AI doctors spread across 21 separate medical departments, including emergency medicine, respiratory disease, and cardiology, each one trained specifically to simulate the clinical reasoning of a specialist in that field, rather than functioning as one generic AI answering every kind of question. Here's the number that made this project impossible for the medical research community to ignore. According to a Tsinghua professor who co-led the research, the AI doctor agents completed the diagnosis and treatment of tens of thousands of simulated patients within just a few days, a volume of clinical experience that the researchers themselves noted would typically take a human doctor at least 2 years of real practice to accumulate. Read that again. Years of clinical experience, compressed into days, run entirely inside a simulated environment before a single real patient was ever involved. Here's the accuracy numbers that grounded this in something more than just raw speed. The research findings showed the AI doctors achieved 88% accuracy in examining patients, 95.6% accuracy in diagnosing their conditions, and 77.6% accuracy in treating them, and while separately showing up to 93% accuracy on a subset of questions modeled on the United States medical licensing examination itself. Here's the honest caveat worth including here, because credibility matters more than hype. This entire system began life as a training and research environment, meaning its first job was refining. AI doctors inside a simulation, not treating real human patients directly. An important distinction the researchers themselves have been careful to maintain. But a virtual hospital running purely in simulation, however impressive its numbers, is still separated from actual patients by a screen. The next entry on this list is where that separation disappeared entirely. Number 3 is the public real-world deployment of that same agent hospital model at Beijing Tsinghua Changgung Hospital, and it earns this spot because it's the moment this entire research project stopped being a simulation and started actually touching real human patients inside a functioning hospital. Here's the backstory. By 2025, the agent hospital model had moved from internal testing into genuine public deployment, with the hospital confirming that AI now supports functions across the patient journey: digital admissions, radiology review, infusion management, and nursing support, rather than being confined to one narrow diagnostic task. Here's the mechanism that makes this genuinely different from a research pilot. Instead of a controlled simulation with synthetic patients, this deployment involves the AI system operating inside the actual clinical workflow of a real functioning hospital, supporting real staff, handling real patients moving through real admissions lines, real imaging departments, and real nursing stations. Here's the number that shows the scale of commitment behind this rollout. In May of 2025, the hospital marked what it called a symbolic and strategic milestone with the Phase 2 expansion of the facility itself, physically growing the hospital specifically to accommodate this deeper level of AI integration across departments that hadn't previously been part of the pilot. Think about what that expansion decision actually signals. Hospital administrators don't typically expand a physical building around a technology pilot unless they're already confident enough in its early results to commit real construction budget to scaling it further. Here's what makes this genuinely significant beyond the hospital's own walls. This deployment is now functioning as educational groundwork for Tsinghua's own medical programs, meaning the next generation of doctors trained at the university are being taught to work alongside these AI systems from the very start of their careers, rather than having AI integration bolted on after they've already qualified. But even a landmark deployment at one flagship hospital is still, fundamentally, a single institution story. The next entry on this list is where the same underlying push stopped being about individual hospitals and became a genuine nationwide rollout. Before this list climbs any higher, it's worth pulling back because none of these individual hospital deployments happened in isolation. They're all downstream of a coordinated national health policy. In November of 2025, China's National Health Commission, alongside other relevant government authorities, issued an official guideline specifically on promoting and regulating the application of AI in healthcare, calling for AI to support continuous services spanning prevention, diagnosis, and rehabilitation rather than being limited to isolated diagnostic tasks. Here's the thing that makes that guideline land differently once you sit with it. China's newest economic blueprint, the 15th Five-Year Plan covering 2026 through 2030, explicitly stresses the need to secure a leading strategic position specifically in AI industrial applications during this exact window, with the country's own government work report pledging to expand what officials are calling the AI Plus initiative and to encourage large-scale deployment of these systems across the economy. But here's the honest, necessary caveat this story demands before it closes. The kind of grounded skepticism that separates a documentary you can trust from one simply chasing an exciting narrative. China's quantum computing ecosystem carries genuine structural weaknesses that raw government spending alone cannot fix. Alibaba shut down its dedicated quantum research laboratory in November of 2023. Baidu closed its own quantum lab just 2 months later in January of 2024, donating its remaining laboratory equipment directly to Chinese universities. China's major private technology giants, the companies with the deepest pockets and the strongest incentive to commercialize breakthrough research, quickly have largely exited quantum computing altogether, leaving the field concentrated almost entirely inside state-aligned research institutions and government-directed startups. Compare this to America's quantum ecosystem, which currently includes roughly 300 independent quantum computing startups, alongside multiple, separately well-funded corporate research, labs at companies including Google, IBM, Microsoft, and Amazon, each pursuing genuinely independent research directions and competing vigorously against each other in the open market. According to careful independent analysis, this thin commercial layer between raw state-funded research and genuine industrial deployment may represent the single biggest structural disadvantage inside China's entire quantum computing program, a disadvantage no amount of government-directed capital can immediately resolve, because it reflects a fundamental difference in how innovation actually gets translated into deployable revenue-generating products. There's also a genuine, if uncomfortable, roadmap versus reality problem worth acknowledging honestly. Origin Quantum, China's most prominent commercial quantum computing company, published an ambitious roadmap back in 2021 targeting 1,024 qubits by 2025. The company's actual flagship processor, called Wukong, launched in January of 2024 with just 72 qubits, a significant shortfall against its own stated target, and its published coherence metrics still lag meaningfully behind Google's Willow chip. Gaps between ambitious roadmaps and delivered hardware exist across every country's quantum program, America's included, but the specific size of this particular gap is worth noting honestly, rather than glossing over in service of a cleaner, more dramatic narrative. So where does all of this actually leave the honest answer to the question sitting in this video's title? Did China really build a quantum chip America genuinely cannot copy? The precise, carefully qualified answer is yes, in a specific and technically meaningful sense, though probably not the sweeping, unambiguous sense a viral headline might imply. China's all-microwave leakage suppression architecture represents a genuinely distinct engineering solution to the exact same fundamental below-threshold error correction problem Google solved first, one built on a different set of underlying physical assumptions about where the true difficulty in scaling actually lives. You cannot simply copy USTC's software-based approach onto Google's existing DC-wired hardware, or vice versa, without essentially rebuilding each system from its physical foundations upward. Whether China's lighter, software-driven path ultimately proves the smarter long-term bet as these systems scale from hundreds of qubits toward the hundreds of thousands, or whether Google's more hardware-intensive, but currently more powerful approach wins out instead, remains a genuinely open scientific question that nobody in any country can currently answer with real confidence. What we do know, with much greater certainty, is that the 12-month gap separating these two countries in the published scientific record may not represent the true distance between their underlying quantum computing capabilities at all, particularly once you account for the well-documented structural opacity surrounding China's most strategically sensitive research programs. China does not need to definitively win this race outright to fundamentally reshape the strategic landscape surrounding quantum computing. It only needs to stay close enough and different enough that no Western government or Western company can any longer safely assume a comfortable, uncontested technological lead. If you want to understand exactly what happens next in this rapidly escalating race, specifically what it would actually take for either country to move from today's below-threshold error correction milestone toward a genuinely cryptographically relevant quantum computer, one powerful enough to threaten the encryption protecting the entire global financial system. That is precisely the story we'll be tracking closely as it continues to unfold. So make sure you're subscribed before that next chapter arrives. Before you go, I want to know what you honestly think about everything you've just heard. Does China's fundamentally different engineering approach to this shared problem strike you as a genuine sign of a coming technological leapfrog, the kind we've already watched play out in solar panels, electric vehicles, and telecommunications equipment? Or do you think America's current numerical lead, however narrow it may currently appear, will simply prove more durable once both approaches finally get tested at true massive scale? Leave your honest answer in the comments below, and as always, I read every single one.